Hey, listen, everybody likes value, right? We all like to get things on sale, and fantasy football is no different. So let's talk about a couple guys whose current ADP looking pretty good. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jake, Fantasy Headliners, coming back at you again. Got another episode for you today. We're talking about some value, right? This is like what fantasy football is all about. Finding value late in drafts. And there's a few names out there right now whose ADP is ridiculous for the amount of production that you're probably going to get if you draft them to your team. We're going to get right into this list, and we're going to see if any of these guys can help us out this season. All right, first guy I have on my list is C.J. Anderson. And before you all click off the video because I mentioned C.J. Anderson, just listen for a second, all right? C.J. Anderson kind of has that perception of being worse than he really is. He's not a horrible running back. Last year he ran for 1,000 yards behind a below-average offensive line in Denver that had no passing attack. I mean, the quarterbacks that played for Denver last year, I don't think I've ever played quarterback, and I probably could have outproduced the quarterbacks in Denver last year. It's been horrible, and he still was somewhat productive. Had over 200 touches from the backfield, got his 1,000 yards, and now he's getting a somewhat better situation in Carolina. I can't say it's this awesome situation for him in Carolina, but compared to what he had in Denver, no question this is a better situation for him here in Carolina. He's kind of got one of those prove-it deals, right? He was only signed for 1 year. If he comes to Carolina and lays an egg, he doesn't have another contract to fall back on. He's out there playing for his next big deal, and he was undrafted anyway. Came into the league with a chip on his shoulder. That chip's going to still be there, and hopefully we're the ones that benefit from it. And it's kind of sneaky, though, too. You kind of see him running around, and he looks kind of small. Not small, but he's not huge. He's a little shorter, a little wider. Nothing wrong with being a little bit wider, but he's deceptively fast. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Anybody who follows the next-gen stats shows that he was only behind the line of scrimmage for 2.5 seconds on average last year. He's finding the holes, and he's getting through them quickly. That's like a half a second faster than Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, what is a half a second? Who cares? Well, a half a second in the NFL is the difference between making it through that hole and busting a big run or getting tackled for a loss. One last thing you don't realize about C.J. Anderson, he is a great pass blocker. What does Carolina need? They need help protecting Cam Newton. The dude is just racking up the injuries because of his mobility and his tendency to hang on to the ball in the pocket. C.J. Anderson was rated the #1 running back in all of football last year by Pro Football Focus in protecting the passer, and he's going to get over 200 touches. Everybody knows about Christian McCaffrey there, but he's going to be more of a PPR threat, lining up in the slot. Yes, he'll get backfield touches, but it'll be similar to last year. Jonathan Stewart was productive in this offense. No reason why C.J. Anderson can't be. Right now, his current ADP is 97, so you're looking at about a 1,000-yard rusher, maybe a little bit less, maybe in that 900-yard range, with a handful of touchdowns and somebody you can get in the 9th to 10th round. C.J. Anderson's a great value late in drafts. Let's talk about Cooper Kupp for a second. He kind of burst onto the scene, had a lot of preseason hype. We knew he was a capable wide receiver. I don't think we knew what the offense was going to be like in Los Angeles, though. And now we kind of have an idea what it's going to be like going forward. It's an explosive offense. Yes, they ended Brandon Cooks. I don't care. Sammy Watkins didn't do anything there last year. I don't care if Brandon Cooks takes a little bit away. If it's going to hurt anybody, it may end up hurting Robert Woods slightly because Cooper Kupp's going to line up in the slot majority of the time. He's one of Jared Goff's favorite targets, and he was tied for 3rd in the league last year for wide receivers with red zone targets. Nobody expected that, and they're going to be in the red zone a lot again this year. I'm looking for Cooper Kupp to have close to the 800 to 900 yard range and probably 5 to 8 touchdowns. Right now, he's currently 98th overall, which is about a 10th round ADP, 9th or 10th. And that kind of production in that spot from the wide receiver position, especially in PPR leagues, is huge. He had just under 900 yards and 500 touchdowns last year in his rookie year. He's got that 100-catch potential, plays in the high-powered offense, and he's almost got identical projections as Juju. Now, I love Juju, but you can wait and get Cooper Kupp 5 rounds later and get almost the same production. Cooper Kupp is a great value. All right, next on my list is going to be Randall Cobb out in Green Bay. And you guys are probably starting to hear a lot of hype about Randall Cobb, and it's deserved. I mean, now that Jordy Nelson is no longer in town, Randall Cobb is expected to have a little bit bigger of a target share there in Green Bay. They didn't go out and sign any huge name free agents. Didn't use any early round draft picks on wide receivers. They did get Equanimeous St. Brown, one of the coolest names ever, late in the draft, and I expect him to challenge for that number 2 spot in camp, but it's not, an automatic given to him. And Randall Cobb has produced in this offense before. You just kind of have that recency bias where you haven't heard of his name lately. But listen to this stat. Back in 2015, Jordy Nelson was on IR. In 2014, Devontae Adams, it was his rookie year. In those 2 years combined, when it was just one of those guys and Randall Cobb, he played on average 90% of the snaps. And over those 2 seasons, averaged 128 targets, 85 receptions, just over 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's an amazing production, especially for where his current ADP is. If he gets a little bit of an uptick in targets, Randall Cobb can produce easy wide receiver 2 numbers. He led the NFL in 2017 in the largest distance of separation between defenders and wide receivers that had over 65 receptions. The dude is quick. He's deceptively quick. The offense knows how to use him, and he has Aaron Rodgers throwing it to him. There's no number 2 given on that offense for wide receiver, so why not give it to Randall Cobb? Especially with his current ADP of 113, somebody you can get in the 10th, 11th, 12th round even. With that kind of production, I don't know if there's a better value out there. Last guy on my list that I want to talk about today is going to be Sterling Shepard. And it's another guy that's being criminally slept on. The value that you can get Shepard at right now is crazy. His current ADP is 120th overall. So you're talking about a guy you can get in the 11th, 12th, maybe even 13th round of your fantasy draft, and he has the potential to put up wide receiver 2 numbers. So they drafted Saquon Barkley. They improved their offensive line. Now the defense has to be honest. They have to play for that run game, and they get Odell Beckham back. Second year of Evan Ingram. A lot of defensive players are going to be paying attention to Odell. Can't ignore Evan Ingram across the middle. He's like a wide receiver and a tight end body. Barkley is going to garner attention from the running back position, and that just leaves Sterling Shepard out there by himself with nothing but one-on-one coverage. We've seen him beat one-on-one coverage before, and there's no reason why he can't do it again. Like I said, Odell is going to be taking a large amount of that attention from the wide receiver spot, and a lot of teams are going to be playing one-on-one coverage on Sterling Shepard, forcing him to beat them, and he's proven he could do it before. Having that added time on the outside, not just restricted to the slot, should give him more snaps, which is good because you got to have snaps in order to score points. And last year, he recorded a 70% catch rate. Now, a lot of people will give Eli Manning some flack for, I guess, being Eli Manning, but 70% of the time that he threw it his way, he was able to catch it. And part of that has to do with the athletic ability of Sterling Shepard. He's proven he can go out and get it. And he's put up numbers in the past he's looked for in the red zone. I'm looking for decent numbers, especially at a 10th, 11th, 12th round ADP. You could easily get 800 yards and 8 touchdowns out of Sterling Shepard this year, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I will definitely be targeting Sterling Shepard late in my drafts. All right, guys, those were a few of my names that have ridiculous value right now. And there's more out there, and the closer we get to the season, I'll put them out here for you guys to check them out. But in the meantime, if you have anybody that you're looking at, anybody that you have any questions on, hit me up below, down in the comment section. I answer every question and comment every time on every video all year long. Really enjoy talking to you guys. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys are liking, commenting, subscribing, and I'll be talking to you later. Thanks. Bye.